Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Christine, the Assistant Recreation Director. We're going to be learning how to make paracord bracelets. We're going to wait just a couple minutes or a minute or so to see if anyone else is going to jump on. Hopefully you've got your supplies, that you were mailed your paracord in a length of about 9 to 10 feet, your clasp, as well as a pair of scissors and a lighter of some sort. If you don't have a lighter, that's okay. We can show you an alternative way to tie off your bracelet, and you can always light it at a later time to finish that off as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is just find yourself a nice good space to use. Paracord bracelets are a great way to carry about 10 feet of rope with you in a nice convenient way. It's said in the outdoors for survival that you should always have 10 feet of paracord with you. So we're going to get started. First thing that you're going to do is just fold that paracord in half. So you've got two loose ends at one side and then your bent bite, if you want to call it, at the other side. And you're going to take your clasp and you're just going to feed that side right up through. So this might take a couple seconds to get that kind of pushed in there. If it doesn't want to feed easily, you can always use a pen or something sharp to kind of push it through. I cut my nails to rock climb, so I don't have any good source for grabbing this, but if you have nails, that helps too. So you're just going to feed that and pull it through just like this. So this is how we're getting our paracord attached to the clasp so that we can easily put the bracelet on and off. So once you have that loop, you're going to pull the other two sides through and pull that tight. So that's one end that's hooked to the clasp. Make sure that your clasp is hooked so that the rounded part is together and it's not turned and having opposite sides. So make sure that it should have come that way. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to take each loose end and you're going to feed it through, again going up, the opposite side of your clasp. So this might be a little bit of an easier side to do. If those pieces that are in there, the part that gives strength to the paracord, are in the way, you might just need to trim them a little bit. Sometimes you can kind of shove them through and get a good grasp. Hopefully you guys can see okay. So now you have this loop system, and if you're going to make this for someone else, you're going to measure their wrist. If you're making it for yourself, just go ahead and slip it on your wrist. Pull it so that you can get about a finger between the rope and your wrist, and that's just for comfort. So keep in mind you don't want it too tight because that rope, we're going to use a COBRA knot, and that COBRA knot is going to be somewhat thick, so it's going to create a little bit of bulk. So here's an example of that finished product with the COBRA knot. So once you have that set, kind of pinch that shut so you don't lose it, and you're going to open your clasp. Easier said than done. If you've got someone there to help you, they might be able to make sure that you don't lose that spot. So now we've got what will be the length of our bracelet. Okay? So we're going to be tying these loose ends on the two fixed points that are holding the clasp together. And as we tie this knot, we just want to make sure that this does not twist, that it stays nice and flat. I prefer to use a surface, but you can also do this just in the air or in your lap. So now I'm going to have my camera person come over and show you the first knot at the table here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one side and you're going to make just a P shape, so bringing that loose end over across the top of your two fixed pieces there. Then take the other side and make an X here, so kind of like a T shape. You're going to go underneath the entire bracelet and then up through that original loop that you made. So this is what that knot, that first knot, looks like. You're going to just pull that, and as you pull it, try to keep your bracelet part as straight as you can. The first knot's kind of a pain. Once you get it started, it goes much smoother. So that's your first knot. Now we started on this side, so now we're going to go to the opposite side. Since I didn't say specifically which side, just make sure you switch to the opposite side. So now we're going to, oops, we started on that side, sorry. Wrong side. Start on the opposite side now from your original knot. So we're going to take that across, kind of that backwards P shape now, and then down over the tail of that, under the entire thing, pull that up through, and we're going to pull this tight. So now you'll start to see a little bit of a pattern. And if you forget which side that you need to take your knot from, the first string across, you can look and see wherever that vertical part of the line is, that's the side you're going to take across. So again, we're just going to make that kind of P shape there, take the other one over, so you've got this T shape going under both of the ropes on the bracelet piece, up through the original P shape, and then tie it tight. It's important to maximize as much of the paracord on your bracelet to pull that tight and push it up so that you can get a lot of this paracord on there. And we'll talk in just a few minutes about what are some uses or reasons that you would want to have paracord as an emergency rope when you're in the wilderness. So notice I just switched sides. So if you forget to switch sides, what'll happen is sort of a spiral effect. And it looks really cool, and it's perfect on a keychain, which we're going to be doing in July. But on a bracelet, it can be very bulky and uncomfortable. So now again, my vertical line is here, so I'm going to take the rope from that side across the main bracelet, then my second rope over that, under the entire thing. If you forget to go under, you'll actually tie a separate piece that'll come off like a wing, if you will, from the bracelet. So you want to make sure you go under and then up through. You can see that cobra knot starting to take shape. So now I'm going to just hold this in this fashion and show you just off of the table. So you're going to go over those two, create that T behind the double there, up through, and pull tight. Again, repeating it. So this can be frustrating to start, but once you've got the hang of the knot, it can be very therapeutic. Cross over the T, and then we're going to bring that back up through. We're also going to have this video saved and accessible on our YouTube channel. So if you miss a step, or if you kind of got behind, you'll be able to jump on there and catch up. The nice thing about the cobra knot and why it's a good knot to use to carry in the wilderness is that you can easily untie it. So if you mess up, you can go back and easily just untie that knot. It's not a knot that's going to stay forever and not be able to be untied and used. So paracord, the makeup of the paracord is actually strong. It's military grade. Typically, you see the threads in here, there are 7 and 9 threads that give it its strength. So if some of these threads came out, it no longer has the same strength that it would if all of them were there. So keep that in mind too, is if you pull these threads out, which once it's tied, you won't really be able to, but if you started pulling these out, this nylon that's here on the outside is not going to be as strong as you might expect it to be. So paracord is military grade, is made of the same material that they use to make parachutes. And you might be wondering, why would I need 10 feet of rope in the wilderness? So there's some basic needs that you might use it for. Possibly you're camping and it starts raining and you need to tie up a tarp, or you want to hang up a hammock and you lost the straps or you forgot the straps at home. You can use the paracord to do that because it is strong enough to hold your body weight. Now, this isn't emergency, I'm falling from a cliff and I'm going to untie my bracelet and catch on to something and save myself. This is more different. Think of it as another thing in your toolbox that you can use. You can use it to repair a tear in clothing. You can use it to create a rope ladder or a type of sling to step up into something if you're trying to reach something. If you've got a pet and you forgot the leash or the collar broke, you can create an easy collar or a leash for your pet. You can also use it as a way to tie up your food. So if you're camping in an area where there are animals that could get into your food, it's recommended that you tie that up in a tree, and paracord will help you to do that. Some other uses might be to create a net for fishing or a line for fishing. And notice I keep sliding this up. Again, making sure that I've kept these ropes straight. Have a few more knots to put on here. And it makes a great little design, especially with the fun colors in the rope. And some of you got this color and some of you got this other one. Again, if you think you messed up, then go ahead and just untie to the point where you can see that pattern. And you can see it's somewhat of a zigzag pattern with those vertical rows going down both sides. And remember, whatever side that vertical knot is on last is the side that you're going to take from. And under and up through. There are some extreme situations that you could use this for as well. If you've taken a wilderness first aid class, it's recommended to have paracord, at least 10 feet of paracord, in case you had to create sutures. If you ran out of sutures in your suture kit. Probably not something most people are doing, but if you have the training for it, it is something that you can use. Another thing would be to create a splint or to tie on a splint if you had to move someone. So we don't typically recommend splinting injuries unless the person has to be moved. And in the backcountry, that can happen, that you need to move somebody to safety or to get further help. You can also use it to create a tourniquet, which is another thing that if you don't have training in, you shouldn't try to create. But tourniquets are used as a last resort in the event of a bleeding emergency that cannot be controlled. Another thing that you could use it for is if you're around water or quicksand. I personally have not been around quicksand, but lots of trips on water, and you could use it if you had to reach someone. So it's never recommended to go into the water after a person, especially in moving or swift water. So you could use it to tie to something and throw to them so that they could possibly be pulled into safety. Other things are as simple as tying a water bottle to a backpack or hooking some gear to a belt. We made these into slings for yoga, for stretching. Takes about 70 feet of paracord to make a decent length. So we're getting up towards the end of our rope here. And this is where you want to just push and try to make sure you've got as many knots on there as possible. So next you're going to need your scissors. So we're going to take the scissors, if you have a lighter, and this is how we're going to just melt this into itself so that it stays put. The nice thing about this is once you light it, it does melt that nylon, but the nylon can easily be picked apart in order to untie the knots and use the rope. So you see I cut it pretty close, and I'm just going to take the lighter and you'll see it start to melt. Make sure that you are using a lighter in a safe place. That is going to be hot, so you don't want to immediately put it on your wrist. You're going to cut the other side. Go ahead and use the lighter to melt that side. Tap it down. And now you've got your bracelet. All ready to be worn, to be untied if needed. So I can easily just go back, kind of easily. And get that loosened. And I can start untying that knot all the way down to whatever rope length I needed for emergency purposes. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know this was kind of a quick tutorial, so we will have another video up. These are some of the things that we like to do when we are back on campus, so I hope that you can join us. And we always have paracord material. In July, we're going to be making paracord keychains, so watch for instructions on how to get a hold of those packages as well. And always reach out if you need anything. Remember, we have campfire stories and tales on Sundays at 7 p.m. with Maddie, which is a fun new program that we will be going on in June and July, all summer long. And this week is our summer solstice celebration. Saturday is the longest day of the year. So we're encouraging everyone to get outside, play some backyard games, have some fun, and really take in the sunshine and the nature RX. Stay well. Remember to learn, explore, and play.